You're live.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 73rd week of the Free Assange Online Vigil. My name is Andrew Smith, and I am joined tonight by my co hosts, Steve Poikinen and Misty Winston. And we do have a special guest with us, as you'd recognize from Slow News Day. It is the wonderful Glory Jones. So, before we get into that, though, I do need to go over some numbers with everybody here. It is day 3,636 of illegal and arbitrary detention for Julian Assange. It is day 591 since the WikiLeaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy and sold to the United Kingdom for a $4.2 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund to the nation of Ecuador. We have 40 days until Judge Vanessa Bareitzer makes her decision on January 4th as to Julian's extraordinary rendition. We have 1,260 days of federal incarceration for whistleblower Reality Winner. We have 247 days of freedom for Chelsea Manning. And I do want to give her a shout out because, as always, she does stream on Twitch. She actually did do a stream earlier today, but generally she does them Thursdays through Sundays or Monday from 7 to 11 p.m. But with that, how are you doing today, Misty?
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Mother F, you guys. Thank you. Sorry, I had to mute because my husband's going in and out of the door with groceries right now. But anyways, I'm doing good and I'm excited because we have Glory here, and I always love a good Glory rant. So I'm looking forward to one of those, at least one.
Wow,
tonight.
you know what? That's really ironic, Misty, because I always love a good Misty rant. So I guess we'll just take turns pissing each other off and then seeing who can get a rant out of each other.
Yeah, that'll be like our little game to play. Who can piss each other off more?
So real quick, we were supposed to have David McBride with us tonight, and he just got a hold of me about a half an hour ago and said, "Man, I'm really sorry, but my lawyers have told me that I don't get to give any more interviews anymore." So we can talk a little bit about what's going on with David a little bit later on in the show, but he did want me to tell you guys who are watching that he is incredibly appreciative of the support that you've given him over the last several months, and thank you. And he would very much like to go against his lawyer's advice, but that's going to cost him even more money in billing when they have to explain to him again why he's not supposed to give interviews. So he sends his love. And yeah, Glory was kind enough to jump in at the absolute last second. We haven't decided if she's playing the part of David McBride or Kendra Christian yet. But I guess we'll just let it run its course. And then if she breaks out in the Australian accent, then we can probably assume that she's not playing Kendra, although I've never heard Kendra speak with an Australian accent. So I don't have anything to compare
to. An Australian accent, so it looks like I'll be filling in for Kendra.
Okay.
Although no one can replace Kendra.
It's true.
Oh my God, that was so ridiculous.
That was adorable. Absolutely adorable.
We do love you, Kendra, but that was ridiculous. No, nothing compares.
Who wrote that song?
I don't know who wrote it. I know Sinead O'Connor made it famous, but I don't know who wrote
Glory
it. Was it Prince?
Jones?
No.
Prince?
It was Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Prince song.
So we were talking about it before the stream, and I do just want to kick us off with talking about what's actually happening inside of Belmarsh Prison to Julian right now. Because it was found that there have been COVID outbreaks inside of Belmarsh Prison, and that they have begun moving people basically to Julian's portion of the prison to house them if they are COVID positive. Julian was denied bail during all of this. His defense specifically cited his medical conditions, the fact that he's basically a political prisoner inside of Belmarsh Prison, and the judge and the court said, no, you're a remand prisoner, you haven't been charged with anything, we can't let you go. So we are in the more or less the worst possible health scenario that you could be in for him as far as conditions. on top of the chronic conditions, being put into solitary confinement. And I think the numbers were somewhere above 50 for the number of COVID positive inmates that were moved to Julian's portion of the prison. I don't know the exact term.
I don't know how many have been moved there, but I do know that in his like housing unit, Stella tweeted today that there are 56. I don't know how many were there just originally and how many have been moved there since they've been diagnosed.
Well, she said yesterday that it was 70 within his wing specifically, and then I think 49, and then that went up to 56 today.
Yeah. No, regardless, like one is too many. It's ridiculous. And let's just reemphasize what Andrew just said. He's a remand prisoner, meaning that like he's there without charge. So, and when his lawyers asked for compassionate release when the virus first started, they actually said out loud, "We can't release you because you haven't been charged with anything." And that's the most like cartoonish, bass-ackwards, ridiculous, clown-assery thing I've ever heard, ever. Yeah, we can't release you because we haven't charged you with anything. Like, that should be the first person you release.
The thing is, even when he was in there with charges of jumping or skipping bail, it was like he was one of 2 out of 797 prisoners in Belmarsh that were held there with charges related to Bell. So they're in Hellmarsh with people that are like legitimate terrorists, rapists, murderers, and of like just 797 of those, he's one of 2 that was being held on bail charges.
I mean, they don't call it the UK Guantanamo or nothing. It's a horrible, wretched place.
And they gave him a 50 full weeks for that, which was the longest that anyone has been sentenced to time.
And almost, isn't that like the longest they could give him? Like, what's
the absolute longest they could give him? 50 weeks.
Because I thought they gave him 50 and the longest was 51. Like the max sentence was 51. Like they didn't go quite to the max, but it was like enough to be like, yeah, fuck you, you know?
Well, there was a period during the February hearings and the September hearings where Julian remained in prison unarrested and uncharged with a crime. When they re-released on June 23rd or June 26th, something in that time frame, the U.S. prosecution re-released another superseding indictment, and to make it legal, they literally had to throw everything else out, and he was never arrested for it. So from that point in June until he was literally rearrested in court in September, he was held without any charge whatsoever. And during that whole period, he couldn't even meet with his lawyers. He was held for 6 months leading up to his own fucking trial without the ability to meet with his lawyers while not being held for any crime whatsoever. Like, that's a political prison.
So inspiring to watch just the fair and equitable justice system of one of the greatest powerhouse democracies in the world at work. And like, if I sound stupid saying that, then like go to Mike Pompeo, go to any of these BBC journalists going around talking about, oh, we're the bastion of freedom, we're the greatest country in the world. But then the hypocrisy is so there. So like when you have people like the president of Azerbaijan saying like, look at how they're treating Julian Assange. Like, I know he's an asshole, but guess what? You created that message while being the bastions of just not democracy, but hypocrisy, with all of this bull crap talking about freedom this, freedom that, freedom of speech. Like, you know, Egypt should treat their journalists better. It's like, Julian Assange, anyone? Do I need to go through just the vast numbers of journalists here that have been censored? Do I need to do that, or are we gonna be kids about this?
Most people are gonna be kids about this. That's the problem. That's the problem. Most people are like completely convinced that the United States is a bastion of freedom and is like the beacon on the hill of greatness and everything good and just in the world, and eagles and fireworks, and you know, it's it's a really kind of magical way of thinking. It's Santa Claus, you know, these people, you've been propagandized from birth to think that this country is the greatest thing ever, and it's fair and it's just and it works and it's righteous and true and all of those good gravy things that you hear about your entire life. And we're none of those things. We are none of those things. None of those things. Like, not even a little bit. It's not even, I can't believe it's even a question. It's not, it's a conversation that we're having. It's bizarre that anybody believes that, just looking around. But I think most people are just afraid to see reality. It's a difficult thing to admit that you've been fooled for your entire life.
People would rather, people who know you, people who you've known for years or decades, would rather look at you and call you a secret right-winger or a secret Trump supporter or a Nazi collaborator or a sexist, racist, misogynist. And I'm including you, Misty, and you, Glory, in the misogyny category, rather than acknowledge that the United States is the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, B, an oligarchy where very, very few of us actually matter, or C, the kind of country that would lock up, torture, persecute its own citizens, let alone an Australian national for publishing. I mean, it's a lot to swallow if you've been fed that red, white, and blue propaganda your entire life. So rather than, be like, well, okay, you're really, that's some undeniable shit right there, buddy. I guess I'll go ahead and agree with you. They do what Sam Tripoli says all the time, which is people would rather be right than do right. And being right is just going along with the prevailing narratives and being a good little citizen and not questioning anybody in authority if they're on your team. But everybody else to a person is a fascist.
Cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. It really is. It really is, though. I mean, it's really difficult for people. And I get it. Like, part of me gets it. And the other part of me gets really angry that people can't step outside their little baby brains and, think outside of a... mega brains. Maybe they
do
have
they
little
need a mega brain? Do they need one? I think
Mega brain.
Yeah. We need to spread, instead of spreading democracy, we need to spread the mega brain throughout the land. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I wish people could, I mean, you have really good, decent, hardworking people cheerleading for the leaders, the elected officials, the politicians who are trying to kill them. And it's bizarre. It's really, and it's depressing. And, they're trying to destroy your rights out in front of you, right now, what they're doing to Julian Assange. They're trying to, this is going to be taking away your First Amendment rights. It's not just Julian. This is coming for all of us. And you're cheering them on. You're cheering it on. I mean, not us, obviously, but the people who fail to recognize how serious this is and how important this is, that the people who hate Julian's personality or whatever, which I rewatched a video of Marianne Williamson saying that one time. There's just something about his personality I don't like. Well, go fuck yourself. There's a lot of things about your personality I don't like. So there you have it. But it's, these people don't have the ability to look past, the show. And it's depressing. It really is sad to see people cheering on their own demise.
While we're on the subject of sad, depressing, bizarre, and people cheering on their own demise, our good friend, the good Kevin Gustola, who has put together some truly incredible threads and articles about the incoming Biden. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. About the incoming Harris administration. and who was appointed to the transition team. And over the weekend, Biden Harris announced the picks for a number of different cabinet positions, and so Kevin compiled a thread on it, and away we go. We're going to start off with, is it Andrew or Andy or something like that? Blinken.
Anthony, I think.
Okay. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh God, I do.
It was. Do you remember the like manservant dude, the butler or whatever, like, you know, castle butler, whatever. For Carrie L's Robin Hood was blind because the one in the stupid, horrible Kevin Costner movie where nobody had an English accent was also blind, so they called him Blinken.
Oh my God.
That's what the dude's name was Blinken. So every time I see this guy's name, that's the image I get in my head. And I hope that you're sharing it with me now. So Blinken backed and defended Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, who engaged in systemic torture against his political opponents on CNN in 2011, months after secret jail was exposed. Blinken said Maliki did many important, significant things. This is starting off with a bang. On CNN in May 2014, Blinken said NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden broke the law. He should come back to the United States and face the law. He can make his case here fully, freely, but he should come back and face the consequences of his actions. And we would welcome him in doing so.
Can I just point out that that sounds an awful lot like what Bernie Sanders said? Like, you were reading that, and I was just like doing some research into Bernie's previous statements on whistleblowers and freedom of the press and all that stuff. And this is like very similar. I'll see if I can find it.
You know who
Dare
else?
you? Do you not want Medicare for all? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'm a Nazi collaborator, Glory. Good God.
Along with Bernie Sanders, Blinken sounds an awful lot like Mike Pompeo too.
Word.
Not only did this make Blinken a part of Obama's war on whistleblowers, it promoted ignorance. Under the Espionage Act, which Snowden was accused of violating, he is not permitted to defend himself by claiming exposing mass surveillance was in the public interest. This is something we talked about a number of times. And that's absolutely right. There is no public interest defense in an Espionage Act case. And for this dude, Blinken, to act like there was either means he has no idea how the law works, or he does and he's hoping you don't.
Well, I think it's more of like just him being a dick. Because like you read that tweet and it sounds like he's just being a facetious asshole. Like, yeah, why don't you come back and face justice? Like, you can freely present your evidence. Like that just sounds like someone who's in a position of power being facetious against someone that they don't like, but trying to like be nice about it, like almost like sea lioning. Like, oh, I just want to help. Like, I want him to come so we can clear this whole thing up. Like, no, he's the one that's making it difficult. Like, no.
It's making a mockery of like the American public as well, because it's like assuming that we don't know what's going to happen to Julian if he comes here.
So
Yeah.
I want to jump down to this one here. On April 21st, 2017, days after WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange was expelled from the Ecuadorian embassy and arrested, Blinken said he would have loved to have seen the Obama administration find a way to charge Assange. If I make this bigger, can you guys see it? I think you can.
Unfortunately.
Is that
Okay.
date right?
What?
Was it 2017 when he was expelled? Or 2018?
It was 2019.
It was 2019, so I guess Kevin's got the day wrong there.
It's very, that just,
Yeah.
That was just for my own brain, because I was like, I don't think I've been doing this for 4 years. Like, what
Right.
happened?
No, we will send a couple of goons around to rough up Kevin later.
Yeah.
So here's the interview, or at least a segment of it. And the anchor says, everyone thinks we love to do a countdown clock. We did not come up with this one, Tony Blinken. We did not. Tony, what do you make of course, the Attorney General will be careful in speaking publicly about any plan bringing charges against Julian Assange in order to secure his arrest. But what do you make of this reporting that the Justice Department is preparing, has found a way, if you will, to try to, they want to bring charges against Assange, which I want to know what's changed. Blinken, who was being paid apparently as a CNN global affairs analyst, because that's how he's titled here. And he says, well, they're walking a very, very fine line. It's very challenging. Look, there's no love lost for Julian Assange. This is going to be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris' Secretary of State, by the way. You would have loved to have it done as well. I mean, and he says, absolutely. He doesn't even let her finish. But we want to make sure that first, we're not having a chilling effect on media and on the press. And there's a real issue there. If he's simply publishing information that happened to come his way, albeit classified, that doesn't make him a whole heck of a lot different than perhaps the New York Times and the Pentagon Papers or CNN. But if, on the other hand, he's actually instructing people to try to steal classified information that he can publish, that might be different. But what I would focus on this is with Assange. What we've seen in recent months, of course, are reports that he may have colluded, and WikiLeaks may have colluded with the Russians to infiltrate the election and put out the information that they got to WikiLeaks. And we know what happened from that. That's where the focus, I think, should be. And of course, I'd focus on Mr. Snowden, who is not a publisher, who was sworn to protect secrets as an employee of the government, and who violated that trust, and he should certainly come back and face justice. Is Blinken suggesting there that Booz Allen Hamilton is a government agency?
What about the trust that we lost in our government because these motherfuckers were spying on every single one of us? Like, that's more important than this. This guy is a fucking ass clown.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it should be common sense, but that's lacking and not good for the stock market. But if you don't want to get exposed for committing crimes, then don't commit crimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I think part of the reason that they were okay with Trump and liked Trump and didn't really fight back against Trump is because they could use Trump to do something like this. He is very much the perfect vehicle for going after Julian Assange. He's already reviled. Everybody hates him. He's a loudmouth bully. He does what he wants. He expects no pushback, and most people don't give him any. And so he's the perfect person to go after Julian Assange. And I mean, Barack Obama didn't want that on his legacy. We all know that. He's an arrogant piece of shit. And he did not want, destroying the First Amendment on his record. But they're okay with, giving that to Donald Trump. And whether he's a willing participant in that or if he's just a dumb fuck being used, they were going to get Julian Assange. They knew that they weren't going to do it under Barack Obama because that was going to make him look bad. But if they can get Donald Trump to do it and put it all on him, I mean, now, and even with Joe Biden, he doesn't have to do anything. He can just say, the ball's already in motion. It's in the court's hands now. I have nothing to do about it. It's already, it's out of my hands. It's already in the court.
He also called Julian a high-tech terrorist.
Yeah.
So it's not like he can even play the game like, it's not like I want to protect Julian, but I just can't because there's no way I can no, we already know from what he said that he doesn't like the dude and he wants the dude dead. And that's how everyone in his administration is going to be. And Oh, God.
That's everyone in Washington, really. Let's be real. It is everyone in Washington, high level people. I mean, I'm sure that there are some interns running around who don't give a fuck, but I mean, high level people in Washington, they all want Julian Assange out of their hair. All of them. Of course they do. Doesn't matter if you're Nancy Pelosi or if you're, Lindsey Graham, or it doesn't matter. All of them. They all have dirt. They all know that he can get their dirt. And so they want him gone. All of them. He's a threat to them.
So Monotalk, James, friend of my show, is saying that that the NDAA that Obama signed is what let me make sure I read that right. Put Julian in jail, and my friend, that is not correct. The NDAA had very little to do with Julian's arrest. What it did was create a culture and a media landscape that allows for legal propaganda, and it certainly helped set a lot of the narratives that people to this day believe about Julian Assange. But this was, and his case is specifically about the 2010 to 2011 releases of the Iraq war logs, the Afghan war logs, Cablegate, the Gitmo files, although not collateral murder, because then the U.S. would have to, or they would disclose U.S. rules of engagement, is why they said it wasn't allowed in court. Now, in reality, it's because it showed a blatant war crime, and they didn't put that in court.
Some of the witnesses even said that, no, they'll be able to bring it up later. Like, they can say whatever the fuck they want, but they'll be able to just pull it in once he's in the U.S. anyways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, all of the material they covered in the case, all of that, it all stems from those 2010 and 2011 releases, which are pre 2012 NDAA, and I hope that clears some stuff up. I'm gonna jump back to the thread here. Yeah. So the entire exchange on the Trump administration indicting Assange is rather incredible because Blinken says WikiLeaks colluded with Russia, so that justifies prosecution, yet it's not remotely part of the case, and that he'd rather focus on prosecuting Snowden. There's some more delightful little bits about Blinken, but then there's this lady. And she looked lovely. That's
No.
Avril Haines.
She's got that Haskell. She's got that Haskell like evil look.
She kind of looks like a lady Jeff Bezos. Am I wrong?
She kind of does.
Right?
I
A
can see
little
it.
bit of Lady Bezos there.
Well, I mean, she's got like that kind of like little bit of a lazy eye, like Bezos has got.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's like if Haspel and Bezos were merged together, and then you take away like 15 years.
Man, that's like the
So
evilest supervillain
I want to touch
ever.
on a few things here real quick, and then we can go back to tarnishing this.
Like, it even has the receding hairline.
She was principal deputy national security advisor to Obama in 2013. She was deputy director of the CIA. If confirmed, she'll be the first woman to run America's massive post 9/11 surveillance state. Won't that be nice? So here we go. When Gina Haspel was nominated for CIA director, Haines backed Haspel, who was directly involved in the CIA's torture program and implicated in destruction of evidence of torture. Haines is celebrated for taking an interest in international law and advocating for changes to how the Obama administration authorized drone strikes. She played a role in giving Obama's assassination policy a shinier veneer of legality that could further entrench this killing in government. Haines worked under former CIA Director John Brennan and is a Brennan loyalist who came to his defense along with several other former security officials after Trump revoked Brennan's security clearance. Haines was a part of Palantir,
Oh my God.
a data mining company which was born out of the CIA and has been implicated in numerous human rights abuses. The Intercept noted in June that the Biden campaign scrubbed this part of her record from their website. And then this thing. Haynes is on the board of directors for Center for a New American Security. Doesn't that sound nice? Which is funded by weapons manufacturers Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, big banks, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and fossil fuel corporations. Oh, and this war industry funded think tank is also funded by Palantir, the U.S. Intelligence Council, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the position for which she is nominated. This is who pays for, what is it, the New American Security. Palantir, Plowshares, Qualcomm, Raytheon, the Roche Family Foundation, the Semiconductor Industry Association, the U.S. National Intelligence Council, and the ODNI.
It's like an orgy of evil right there.
If you remember your cypherpunks, that's actually the fact that International Brotherhood of Semiconductor Manufacturers, or whatever the fuck that was, is on there, is actually kind of ominous, because I think it was the first or second chapter, Julian talks about how the basic subfabric of society is built on the microprocessing units and the people that manufacture them and their ability to allow other people access to those. So that group on there is just very ominous, more so than even the rest of them, in my opinion.
When I tweeted about this, I said, I'm going to guess that the reason that these people were appointed is because the Legion of Doom is in fact fictitious. They needed something as close to that as possible. You look at these people and the people that are in the Biden-Harris transition team, and guys, I sure am glad that they beat fascism.
They're going
can't
so
tell
left,
you,
Steve. They're going so far left.
Didn't
Joe
you trust
Biden
the
has been
plan?
pushed so far left, he actually went all the way around and landed slightly further to the right.
I mean, I'm pretty fucking far to the left, and he passed me about 10 miles ago, you know?
Yeah.
He's way over there already. Look at him go. Go team.
Yeah.
I
Damn
just
radical
want every
leftists.
single progressive that sheepdog for this dude and Harris for months and months on end and shat on those of us who said that this would happen. I just want them to go and give a hand job to Peter Thiel.
No, they're gonna
That's what you
gonna
were doing, Liz.
No. They're right now they're acting shocked, like, oh my god, I can't believe that he's considering Rahm Emanuel for a cabinet position. I could have fucking told you that. We did fucking tell you that. I mean, anybody who didn't expect this from Joe Biden is a moron and not your friend.
Are you kidding me? The same dude, I just can't believe it. That the same dude who used the same exact slogan as the World Economic Forum would have people with ties to Palantir and Israeli intelligence in his cabinet. It's so unprecedented.
He's Joe Biden. We have 47 years of this guy showing us that he is an absolute scumbag. If you thought that was going to change because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said it was going to, then
she wrote a letter.
Well, she tweeted. Did she send a letter? I know there's been some
A
tweets.
sternly worded letter.
Oh, I'm so relieved, Steve. Everything's fine, guys. Alex is going to fix it.
And then you got people like Sheep Doggy Dog. And his just
he's such a
every
joke.
time his Twitter account does something, it's you gotta wonder if it's a pissed off intern that's I want to make this motherfucker
No,
look bad.
but here's the thing though. Everything that comes out of that Twitter account, people are like, oh, he doesn't actually tweet that. But it's stuff that he has said out loud. They're pretty good at wording it the exact same way that he would say it in his exact let me be clear bullshit tone and all of that stuff. It is stuff that he says in his own words all the time. That's who he is. And people need to stop making excuses for that dude. He is not your friend. Please stop it. Please stop it.
It's the in the absence of any other faith-based belief system, they have chosen political identity, and you're going to. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how long I've been saying this for, or trying to explain this to people, but every day there are myriad opportunities for you to put that theory to the test.
Yeah.
And every day that theory is proven more and more correct. And that's
don't get it, though.
shame.
I don't get it. I'm an atheist and I don't worship at the altar of any politician. Like, what? Why do you need to do that? I don't worship anywhere. I don't worship anything. Like, I don't know why somebody needs to have that in their life. It's fine to just go through life and understand that there is nothing worth worshiping. It's just
This
us
is the
on a
same
rock
Misty
holding your
Winston
space.
that doesn't have a belief system, that bailed on the Vigil on Saturday so she could watch a regular season Ohio State football.
Dude, Indiana was ranked in the top 10 for the first time in decades. It's a Big Ten game. That's not worship. That's just, I love college football.
I'm fucking with you, dude.
I'm saying, no, like,
Come on. Come on.
I'm saying, though, Indiana.
Whatever, Cubs fan.
Watch them both. Watch them both, Misty. Like, this
So,
is
like,
Glory,
look, man,
okay, no, time out. Glory is going to try to tell me that she can watch a basketball game and watch a vigil because she's not
Yes.
watching
She
at the
can-
TV.
dude,
Really? Really,
she can.
girl? You're telling me you're not yelling at the TV all the time?
she was in class. Glory was in class last night while we were live on Franco's show.
Dude,
No, I can't pay attention to anything else other than college football. When college
never
football's on.
underestimate Glory's multitasking skills.
Yeah, listen, I'm a great multitasker, but I like to watch the game and like to watch the plays develop and unfold. That's part of the whole fun. I like it. So yeah.
Yeah, and you can do that while listening to the Vigil too.
No. I can't.
Hey, we all got to have unplugged time. I've been doing that for a couple days because I needed a break. So,
Dude, if I don't take time off, I'll lose my shit. And you guys see me normally. You really want to see me after losing my shit?
I feel you, though.
My husband just yelled no.
Smart man.
My husband is so funny. He's yelling at me now.
That's beautiful.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
I'm Misty's husband.
So real quick,
I'm pulling it
wanna-
up on the share screen real quick. I'm going to see what else Kevin's added to this to see if we've got senior policy advisor for Hillary Clinton in 2008
Yes.
and 2016, Jake Sullivan. That's national security advisor.
Check him out in the WikiLeaks. He's in there a lot.
Yeah, part of the Alliance for Securing Democracy's Advisory Council, which includes Michael Chertoff, Bill Kristol,
Oh my God.
Mike Morrell, John Podesta. Yeah,
You guys, it's so bad. I don't even think people realize how bad it is yet. Like I hope people realize that foreign policy for the next 4 years is going to be brutal, and it's on your hands. Like if you endorse this shit and backed it and supported it and voted for it, that's on your hands. I'm sorry, you can be mad at me for saying it, but that's real life.
so
Well, they all
Sullivan-
want to make love with NATO. That's what they're all going to do. So it's going to just ramp up tensions with Russia, ramp up tensions in Syria. Hey, why not chuck in special guest stars, Venezuela and Bolivia? Because we're going to go after them too.
Don't forget Iran.
We're going to go after all of these countries under the guide of some magical neoliberal altruism. So that way all these multinational corporations can get their stupid little green passes to go and colonize more and push more of their exploitative policies all over the global south. And no one's going to say anything because, oh, it's okay. They're globalists. They're building up these countries. Never mind the fact that there are clear documented instances of environmental degradation because of the shit that those MNCs are doing in those countries. But we're just going to pretend that neoliberalism doesn't exist because, hey, we got a task force that says Medicare for all on it. Go fuck yourselves.
Does anybody remember when Jon Stewart broke out the Go Fuck Yourself Tabernacle Choir?
Yes.
I feel like we need a revival of that.
Yeah, I could be down for that.
And he was yelling at Bernie Goldberg but you could
Well, that could be
cleverly
something
edit
we
that
do.
bit because the choir's sitting there singing like I'm begging you, Bernie, and like it just you could do it, and then the whole go fuck yourself. It was fantastic. I mean that was a wonderful moment in comedic television right there.
Yeah.
And I have lots of thoughts about Jon Stewart, The
Me
Daily Show,
too.
Comedy Central, and Viacom, and all that shit. But, and I know this is going to be hard in 2020, sometimes you can look at things for exactly what they are in that moment. And you don't have to, you don't have to apply all of your biases to them. You don't have to incorporate the entirety of the history of this thing or that person.
Dude.
You can look at an individual moment and have a thought about that individual moment.
You're talking
You
shit.
can.
You're talking shit.
I promise you,
language you're speaking.
I promise you, it
It's
is possible.
sorcery. This is sorcery. He's talking about witchcraft.
Are you a wizard?
You have the beard thing going on, man. That's next Halloween. Wizard Steve.
Right.
Wizard Mega
right,
Brain.
Right.
Oh my
Ooh,
god.
That'll be
man,
dope.
I still have the
The Mega Brain. Nice.
I do.
Nice.
Oh, it's back there.
Right here.
Mega Brain.
Oh boy.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I also still have that. I got a freaking pocket square when I was George Galloway last Halloween. Got a goddamn pocket square. I still have it somewhere. I'm not sure what
It's
happened.
amazing the random shit I have bought over the years for Halloween that I will never, ever, ever use again, but I needed it for that one day.
Oh, are you Misty? I feel you. I fucking here. Wait.
Oh no, show and tell time. I mean, there's my Putin.
So I have a lightsaber.
Nice. Oh, okay. My husband's a Star Wars nerd. We have multiple lightsabers in my house. Multiple. There's a lot.
Listen, Empire Strikes
He just
Back.
said he's not a nerd. Lies.
Yeah.
He's lying.
Well, full disclosure, I am a nerd. Empire Strikes
I'm
Back
too.
is a work of art. Okay. Yeah. I could go on a rant about it, but I don't want to derail the whole thing.
Yeah, we should probably talk more about Julian.
I
can sum it up in one Star Wars up in one word, and that's Disney.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk about the GoFundMe before we transition to the witness statement, because we have had a couple donors, and I just want to say thank you to those people. We have launched our official GoFundMe to help us get to DC for January 3rd and 4th for protests outside of the British Embassy. Before the decisions made about Julian's rendition to the U.S. as well as after. We would love for everyone to join us. Like, please invite 10 people and ask those 10 people to invite 10 people as well, because we need as many people as we can. If you can't make it to Washington, D.C. with us to join us outside of the British Embassy, please, by all means, be the protest in your community. I know we've said that for absolutely ever now, but now more than ever, especially with Julian being in the state and situation that he's in, now is the time to be that protest and be that voice for him in your town.
So with that, let me give some huge thanks to Sarah Wagner, Rob Juno, Costello West, and Matthew Dorr. You guys rock. Because of you, we're like 10%. We got like 10% of our goal covered. With the previous two GoFundMes as well. But we totally understand if you guys can't donate. Like, a fuck ton of the country is out of work. They're closing businesses left and right. We're going back, at least in California, we're in like we hit ludicrous speed for lockdown.
It's so dumb.
So we get it. We do. But if you support what we're doing here, and you would like to see an on-the-ground presence in the nation's capital when District Judge Vanessa Baratzer reads her decision, and you can't donate to the GoFundMe, please help get the link out there. Share it.
And
Because
if you know people in the
really
DC
helps.
area, tell them about the action so that we can get more people out there. That would be excellent too.
You're
I
muted,
was
dude.
super muted. I know. I was like fighting to get to the mute button. But I did hear back actually from the DC police, and they said we should be good to do an evening permit that we can put in for permits starting at midnight and continuing on from then.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
I don't know
Yeah.
how that if they lock down though, if they have curfew or something.
Yeah, that's all of this is going to be very iffy up until the day of. I mean, we really have no way of planning or anticipating how ridiculous things get. So, I mean, you know.
Well, before they had, and this has kind of been the rule with most cities, that they'll just let you protest. Like, they don't really care. That's what the DC police said. Like, as long as you're like being and doing things the way that they approve
Their
of.
latest guidelines said if 25 or less, and they're not going to get all like COVID weird about it.
For protests or
25
for gatherings?
25 or no, even for like
Okay.
events, protests and shit like that. Yeah. But at any, like they were telling us last time, if we had what 20 or 25 or less, we didn't even need the permit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure
it's just a way to get people not to do it.
Yeah.
So tell them to go away.
Always get a permit, fam, if you can.
Yeah.
Unless you want to get arrested. I mean, that's fine.
I put the links in all the chats except Twitch because I don't have Twitch chat up on the computer.
Well, Misty, they tried to arrest my ass, and the protest was never even called unlawful to begin with. So
yeah, they don't. There's no rule. It doesn't matter. You can get arrested for just like trying to walk down the street past a protest. Like on your way home or something.
Look at what's happening to the fucking London crew out there protesting. They're literally having to get chased off by police. They're like it's dystopian. Like they're literally having to plan and implement methods to have to social distance during protests and obey the restrictions of one person has to be out for an hour of recreational activity and using that as part of the protest, going like one or two people at a time around the city, wearing the glasses to avoid facial recognition. For the last 3 weeks, people have been getting arrested and chased around by twice as many police officers as protesters in an open public plaza. Like it's
and that's
like
a protest that's been going on for months. Like this is not a new thing.
Damn near a
long
year
time
at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reaction is definitely ramped up, and it's going to get worse. Like, if you think that Joe Biden is going to be better for protests, you are very greatly mistaken. It's going to be worse. You need to prepare yourself for that.
Western countries, they send their police officers to the International Law Enforcement Forum, and it's a practice that they've had for years now. And they always run these stupid little simulations where it's like, there's a crowd of 1,000 people and a terrorist threat. Like, let's see how many arrests you can get. And that's just a summary of how the event goes. And, lo and behold, it was attended by several members of the British police and one certain member of LASD, Brian Mueller, who's the individual who tried to arrest me. So go fuck yourself.
Oh, real quick, I gotta give some thank yous here. J9 Campbell, thank you for the super chat. We will absolutely yell for you in DC. I will say this though, man. YouTube takes 40% of the super chats. GoFundMe takes 10%. You actually get a little more for your dollar if you donate directly to the GoFundMe. But from now until we leave, all of the super chats for Slow News Day are going to get rolled over into the GoFundMe. So either way, I was trying to trying to help you spend your cash a little bit better by not giving a chunk of it to YouTube, because fuck YouTube,
Fuck
man, fuck Google, fuck
And
Alphabet,
Google. Fuck Alphabet.
and you know, the horses they rode in on. JC, no, thank you guys. We'll be out there, DC or Portland, Oregon. Nice, right on. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much.
Oh, it gets down in Portland too. So
Yeah,
Hey,
man,
someone shoot me the GoFundMe link in our chat so I can throw it on delay.
I
I'll put
got
it
you,
in.
buddy.
I got it right here. I got it first. I'm doing it.
Should we switch over to the
Witness statement?
statement? Yeah, it's, you know, we got a little bit to get through.
Are you hanging out with us for the witness statement too, Glory?
sure.
Cool.
Yay!
All right, give me 1 second. Let me throw this link in here real quick.
So
Usually
just
it's me. Usually it's just me and the Sausage Squad, Glory. So it's nice to have.
does
I
somebody
know,
want to do
bro.
a quick recap of the first part of the witness statement? Because I
Hey,
think we
Mr.
released it.
JFK, it was me and like white man.
I know. I saw that, girl.
Yeah,
And that's like a lot. That's a lot of energy in that group too.
yeah. If anyone missed the first witness statement, we pre-recorded that and streamed it out some days ago. So go check it out if you need context for the first half of it.
Yeah, and this is just a guy that he works with. Why did my mind just go blank?
Clive Stafford Smith is a lawyer that works with people who are in Gitmo primarily.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll pull. You guys ready?
I'm trying, man.
I have the first slide pulled up if you want me to start.
Okay, and it starts at slide 14.
There's a
I would think so.
Yeah, it does.
Do I have the right? Is it the one that starts the U.S. never admitted?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, so the U.S. never admitted that Mr. Mohammed had been tortured in Morocco, but I went there myself to corroborate what he had told me about how he was flown in and taken to a particular torture camp. When we secured his release to the UK, the intelligence agencies leaked one of Mr. Mohammed's statements to the BBC, and it was only because I was on hand at the interview that I was able to prevent the journalist from using a statement with which I was intimately familiar and which has been elicited after torture in violation of the UN Convention Against Torture. Mr. Mohammed became one of several people who successfully sued the UK government for compensation for UK complicity in the crimes committed against him. So this is just this guy talking about how you're able to use these releases in court cases against the CIA or the US government for their crimes of torture, which there are many. Let's see. The U.S. modus operandi was, as we now know, specifically designed to disguise locations and confuse the victim. This served a dual purpose. In the language of the CIA psychologists who devised the enhanced interrogation experimental torture program, controlling detainees' experience to such an extent that they had no idea where they were and were simultaneously completely dependent on their captors was supposed to facilitate a state of learned helplessness. According to the CIA psychologists, inducing this state had previously worked to make dogs compliant, and so they thought it would probably work on humans too. There's so much in that little sentence right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this component of the CIA modus operandi also served to disguise the locations of the secret prisons and protect the identities of the individuals in states helping the U.S. carry out its illegal secret rendition and torture program. If a detainee did not know where he had been held, what states he had been transited through, or the nationality of his, is it jailers?
Jailers.
Jailers? Okay.
Yeah.
And interrogators, it would obviously be far more difficult to hold perpetrators to account.
So they know what they're doing is so fucking wrong that one of the biggest portions of it is confusing someone to the point that they begin to act like an animal that's been beaten in a cage.
Yeah.
Well, and also to make sure that they cannot identify where they've been, who has been torturing them, what states were participating in it. It's like covering their ass. The whole thing is making sure that they can cover their ass in as many ways as possible.
So I want to kind of hold on this for a moment. I do, because this is insane. It is. I mean, according to CIA psychologists, inducing the state had previously worked to make dogs compliant, so they thought it would probably work on humans too.
That's what they think it will.
Okay, look, that's how the people who work for your government see other human beings. It doesn't. There's zero humanity in that. The entire point of treating someone in this manner is to strip them of each and every like fundament of their humanity, and we know torture doesn't work. We know it doesn't provide reliable information. We know that if someone is being treated this way, they're going to say whatever they think it is you want to hear so that you will stop doing this shit to them. And those are your tax dollars. I mean, they're not really, but they could be if we were, not living in the fucking cartoon with fiat currency that isn't tied to anything. We can just print money whenever we want. It's a little
But this
wild.
is what your government is doing in your name. This is your government. This is the people that, are supposed to be running shit around here. These are the adults in the room, right? That's what they tell you all the time. We're the adults in the room. These people are psychopaths, and they do not care about you or anyone else. They don't see you as human. They don't see you as worthy, or you are an animal to them. You are nothing more than insignificant inconvenience to them.
You're subjects, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, you're subjects of their greater experiment, and within that same diction about an experiment, you have that video of Mike Pompeo where he's saying, we lied, we cheated, we stole. And at the end of that, he goes, it just reminds me of the glory of the American experiment. Like, this is the country. This is the country that you're doing all this stuff in our name, and you have the director of the CIA and current Secretary of State just describing it as a fucking experiment.
And that's what it is. And people, you need to understand.
Need to confront that. People need to confront that.
And people need to understand that, we've been talking about this a lot lately. There's a lot of people who want to, talk about how the election was so secure this time, and, whatever. And, whatever, the worst thing possible that you think that the government could be doing, multiply that by 1,000 and you might be in the ballpark. They are doing things way worse than we even know about. Like, we have the stuff that's been leaked through WikiLeaks and, stuff that's come out, through the Pentagon Papers and whatever. So we know some of these things, but that's just what we know. Imagine all of the things that have never gotten out, all of the little secrets that nobody's ever told. So we have just a tiny little glimpse of the depravity that they are capable of, and it is
in the last couple of years, since almost 2 years now, since they cut the Julian's ability to get online at the embassy. Like, we're rapidly approaching that. That's 2 years of people not going to WikiLeaks because Julian Assange isn't there, and they've identified WikiLeaks as Julian Assange. Like, it may be possible that they don't know that WikiLeaks is operating. It may be. I mean, we've had 2 major releases from them in the last couple of years. Fish rot, it resulted in a lot of people going to jail. The OPCW leaks have they're still not really admitting what happened. Certainly not the OPCW, certainly not Bellingcat, certainly not the United Nations. But they did have Aaron Mate testifying at the UN, and he laid it bare. I mean, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, he did.
And you got to wonder how often somebody like at the general council gets to hear shit like that. Like, they're generally kept in a sort of stasis surrounded by plausible deniability.
And
So
forget the fact that Julian's not at WikiLeaks, and so people maybe won't, give them stuff because Julian's not there. Look at what they're doing to Julian. People don't want to end up like him. That's a big deterrent right now. I mean, look at what they did to Chelsea. Look at what they're doing to Julian. Look at what they just did to Jeremy Hammond. People are aware of that who are interested in potential whistleblowers are not, like, I'm sure that they're not dumb. They've looked into what that looks like for them, if that's a move that they did. And that's exactly what this is all designed to do. What they're doing to Julian Assange, and the fact that they are doing it rather openly, is designed to put fear into people so that nobody else will dare to challenge them again. That's what this is about. That's why it is being done kind of so openly and brazenly. And I mean, they're waltzing into court saying, oh, well, we're the United States. We'll come for anybody, anytime, anywhere, if you publish something we don't agree with. And they have no problem doing that because nobody's going to stand up to them. Nobody's standing up to them. Nobody said anything about that. That's a huge thing that they admitted to in court, that they said that they have that kind of jurisdiction. And no, that's not a huge scandal. That's not on the front page of every paper. Jake Tapper isn't yelling about that every night. So they can get away with it, and they are getting away with it.
yeah, I mean, I was in a meeting right before we started the vigil with a representative from the U.S. contingent of Assange defense, and like the first thing that she asked me was, like, how can we best work together? And what I wanted, and what we're now going to try to do, is consolidation, at least in terms of pushing specific calls to action, specific events, and a large sort of unification of all of these sort of disparate Assange groups that exist, certainly in the US, but internationally as well. And that's something that Action for Assange has done, and has done well, is coordinate internationally with a lot of organizations, especially when there are like planned simultaneous or concurrent events going on a specific day. But I mean, we need more of that. We do. We've been talking about this for a while now. And our good buddy Jason Burmis is now at the point to where, like, he's openly calling for people to peacefully storm their local government buildings and occupy them, starting December 10th, starting on International Human Rights Day. It's going to take a lot of coming together for people to pull that off. But it can happen if we can agree that something like a free press is the fundamental right from which all other rights are then able to be expressed and protected. So that's where we got to start. And as I do sincerely believe that as long as we can get enough people who in their own right have enough, I don't know, pull, juice, influence, whatever you want to call it, in their own spheres to start thinking about this one thing in a post-partisan manner, then we can really make some shit happen.
I was actually going to ask you earlier if you wanted to talk a bit about the idea of the Great Resistance, because I think that's what we've been.
It's worth
promoting.
talking about. It's worth
absolutely.
discussing, man. So again, December 10th, Human Rights Day. If you are down to occupy your local government building, get as many people as you possibly can, and everybody needs to make sure that you have a way to broadcast. Take your laptops. I normally advise not to take any devices to a protest, But if you're going to occupy a space,
Yeah.
you need to be able to broadcast, and you need to be able to document that. And so you should do that. Make sure you have the ability to communicate, get the word out. Also, December 10th, the Denver Free Assange group, Kendra's group, is holding an event that day, and then Saturday after that. And I will be at both of those. The one on Saturday is in Boulder, Colorado, at the Rocky Mountain Peace and Justice Institute. The one on Thursday, I don't have a specific location for yet, but I'll make sure that everybody knows
Repeat
about
that
it.
first location you cut out
I
for a
think-
second.
At which bit?
The first location got cut out.
Okay.
The Saturday one.
Okay, so Thursday we don't know where it's at yet, or I don't know where it's at yet, but I'll tell you Saturday is the Rocky Mountain Institute for Peace and Justice, and that's in Boulder, Colorado. And I believe I even have a start time on that, but I'll update. That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's 12/12 at 12.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Yeah.
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 12/12 at 12. Saturday 12/12 at 12 p.m.
Yeah.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
But definitely, if you're in or around Denver or Boulder, make sure you get out for that. If you are, if you're ready to occupy your local government building peacefully in a non-threatening manner with the ability to broadcast, you absolutely should do that. You should. I still think we should occupy Bohemian Grove. I haven't even decided if that's a joke or not yet.
I think it's pretty serious. We need a Bohemian Grove autonomous zone.
Occupy
And then we'll rip
Bohemian
down the
Grove.
statues of Moloch.
Now that's a misnomer.
It's just an
Our
owl.
God is not
It's
named
just
Moloch.
the effigy of an owl. I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
All right, back to the slides.
Back to slides.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you want me to pick up, Misty?
you can go for it. Yeah.
And this is slide 16.
Yeah, slide 3 for this week.
Okay. Indeed, with the Washington law firm, we have brought the first major challenge to this case. In the case of Bilal Abdul Karim, an African American journalist reporting from the vicinity of Idlib in Syria on the struggle against the regime of President Bashar al-Assad. It took a lot of investigation to work up this case. I have a privileged memo that is more than 350 pages long detailing all the cases we looked into, and we brought this case because it additionally raised the issue of targeting journalists. The other plaintiff in the district court case was Ahmad Zadain, an Al Jazeera journalist who had been targeted according to a leaked PowerPoint presentation because of the metadata on his phone that showed he had interviewed a number of notorious people up to and including Osama bin Laden himself. Of course, there is hardly a journalist in the world who would not do that. And Mr. Zaidan was, we understand, chosen by bin Laden because he spoke Arabic and worked for the station that broadcast to the largest Arab audience. The various high-profile examples of U.S. government, this is the next slide, by the way, attacks on journalists, leakers, and those journalists who work with them has since the earliest days of the Afghan conflict appeared to have a strong chilling effect, with one key effect being that there has always been a dearth of individuals from inside government willing to go on the record to evidence U.S. violations. For this reason, documentary evidence such as the WikiLeaks disclosures have become of key importance in our work to evidence war crimes and human rights violations by the U.S. and its allies. An example of the way that WikiLeaks documents have enabled us at Reprieve to evidence grave violations that we may otherwise have struggled with involves our work on drone killings in Pakistan. WikiLeaks cables have continued to court filings that U.S. drone strikes are criminal offenses and that criminal proceedings should be initiated against senior U.S. officials involved in such strikes. I can't disagree with that. You're
No.
committing mass murder from 2 miles in the sky. Somebody should be held accountable for that.
And I think this also serves as an important reminder of how critical WikiLeaks has been. I mean, the way that they've been used in different court cases to give evidence to, I mean, like he said, an example of the way that WikiLeaks documents have enabled us at Reprieve to evidence grave violations that we may otherwise have struggled with. I mean, these are things that they may not have ever been able to prove otherwise. And that is hugely important in these court cases. I mean, these are torture victims. I'm sorry, maybe it's just me, but I'm against torture. That sounds bad. So the fact that WikiLeaks has provided this, ability for these victims to, have their day in court and be able to prove what happened to them is an amazing thing. That's a great thing, and we should be grateful to them for doing that.
Well, and it just speaks to another problem with this whole case and with this whole gripe that the government has with WikiLeaks, where they're getting mad at the fact that their secrets are getting exposed. How about, here's an idea, bootlickers, instead of getting mad at the government secrets being exposed or your precious government getting embarrassed, be mad about the crimes that they're committing. It's like, it's like no one who's not a sociopath can look at all the things that WikiLeaks exposed, can look at the torch, can look at collateral murder, can look at all the war crimes. No one in their right mind can actually look at that and and say, you know what? I'm mad at the guy who exposed this. Like, no one in their right mind is saying that. And it speaks to the inherent problem that's confronted with this case, where it's like, why aren't we holding the perpetrators of these crimes accountable? Oh, that's right.
Where there is a modicum
backward, that we want to uplift sociopaths instead of hold them accountable.
Where there is a modicum of accountability, which even then it's not that great of an institution, is the International Criminal Court, where you have people who are using WikiLeaks revelations, specifically ones cited in this case, like Khalid al-Masuri, going to the international.
And you butchered that so bad.
Going to the International Criminal Court.
El-Masri.
Going to the International Criminal Court and then having Mike Pompeo and the Trump administration wage open war against the ICC and the families of International Criminal Court prosecutors because they're using and going after cases that were exposed and only prosecutable because of WikiLeaks revelations.
I would love for Mike Pompeo to try that shit if I was on the fucking ICC. Sorry, that's just me talking shit.
Such a douche canoe. Like, he tweeted today about going to visit the Saudi Arabian prince or whatever, and he's talking about how they're going to work together on counterterrorism. And I'm like, you guys are the terrorists. What are you talking about? Like, these are two of the scummiest scumbags on planet Earth, and it just makes my skin crawl. It's, they're little cretins. Like, they're, well, not little. Mike Pompeo's not little, but he's a cretin for sure. But it reminds me of that scene in Liar Liar when Jim Carrey is on the phone and he yells, "Stop breaking the law, asshole." Like, that's what I want to tell the government. Like, stop getting pissed off at being exposed for breaking the law and quit breaking the fucking law. It doesn't seem that complicated, you know?
That's far more diplomatic than how I would have said it.
So just in the last 25 minutes, we've seen some action on the GoFundMe, and I want to give some thank yous. Janine Campbell, Anonymous, and Andrea Gonzalez. Thank you very, very much. We really we appreciate the hell out of it.
You're a rock star.
We're not going to be spending a lot of time in DC, but we're trying to make these actions as impactful as possible. I'm talking to a couple of people who are interested in speaking, and it looks like we're going to have a lot of cooperation and support from Assange Defense, so it will be even better that way. And again, man, if you're anywhere near Washington DC, get thee there. January 3rd and 4th.
And if you're not near Washington, D.C., do a protest in your own community. Even if it's just going out and doing a banner drop. One banner on a bridge 30,000 people see it on their way home from work. It'll be the most viral post you've ever made.
I mean, do that.
Or
do
convert
that.
another protest into a free Assange event.
I mean, do it for on December 10th. I mean, there's a lot of groups that are going to be doing that for Human Rights Day. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't have to be just in January.
Anytime, any day, go forth, do something, make some noise, do something. Good times, lots of fun.
So picking this back up on slide 18, we have worked closely with our colleagues at the Islamabad-based Foundation for Fundamental Rights on these cases, as well as with Imran Khan, now Pakistan Prime Minister, who made a major issue out of these human rights violations over several years. In 2011 and 2012, 3 petitions were brought to the High Court of Peshawar challenging the legality of U.S. drone strikes in Pakistan. These petitions raised and included prayers to order the A, to protect the right to life of its citizens and use force if need be to stop extrajudicial killings with drones, and B, to provide redress for the criminal offenses committed by those involved in inside and outside Pakistan in drone operations. Continuing C, to immediately contact the Security Council of the UN for violations of Pakistan's territorial sovereignty and demand the adoption of a resolution condemning drone strikes and requiring the US to stop the strikes in Pakistan. D, to gather data of victims of drone strikes and encourage any such victims to come forward for the wrong done to them and approach the UNHRC, the Human Rights Council of the United Nations, and Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial, summary, or arbitrary executions for launching the complaint. I'm going to come back to that. Finally, to use its right to reparation for the wrongful act under customary international law and international law on state responsibility and seek remedies available therein. The fact that we have a special rapporteur on extrajudicial, summary, or arbitrary executions is in and of itself freaking wild.
Yeah.
Well, even asking the UN Human Rights Council to stop the bombings in Pakistan is literally asking the US and Saudi Arabia to stop the US and Saudi Arabia from bombing Pakistan. Like, just the paradox of expecting the UN Human Rights Council to tell its member nations to stop violating human rights it's laughable.
It's a cartoon.
It is a cartoon. You guys, we're the bad guys. I don't know how to tell you. I don't know how to, like, I know that's a big blow to some people, but we are the bad guys. I mean, there are a lot of bad guys. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of bad guys, but I mean, come on. The US, the UK, I mean, Saudi Arabia, Israel, they're a mess. They're a hot mess. It's like this little club of evil fuckers, you know. And they're all sick people.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's a very polite way to describe them.
I was about to go off on a rant on their psychopathy, but I didn't want to bore people.
We have 6 slides, so you can like do it in the after 3. We're due for a Misty rant.
Oh, no, you know these. I mean. It's really frustrating to me that, you know, we talk about this stuff all the time, and it's not like they're not very good at hiding it. They're not very good at, and maybe they're not even trying. I mean, they really don't need to. Like we talked about before, nobody's stepping up. Nobody's gonna call the United States out. I mean, look at the people who try. Look what happens to them. You know, I mean, ask Gaddafi how that went for him. You know, we are controlled by some of the most devoid of humanity, like completely lost cause psychopaths that are possible. And it's amazing to me that humanity has managed to get this so fucking wrong. Like, here we are, we get tossed onto this rock in the middle of space, and, you know, we have this great opportunity to, you know, really have a cool experience and a cool life and a cool, you know, we can all just kind of work together and collaborate and make sure that we're not killing the planet and each other, and just, you know, do the right thing. And instead we allowed ourselves to be ruled by psychopaths, and here we are blowing the fuck out of each other, and, you know, stealing resources and starving babies, and, you know, poisoning people with water. And I mean, what the fuck, you guys? It's so messed up.
Until we stop a West that is intent on rule by bloodline, rule by most wicked sociopath, and what has inarguably become the continual rebuilding and relocation of the Roman Empire, we're gonna have some problems. We are, and getting people to realize, like, where the power lies is a vital component to that. Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum making it incredibly easy to, you know, pinpoint where a portion of the power lies. Certainly the cabinet that Joe Biden is trying to assemble, if you look at where those people are connected and to whom those people are connected to, that gives you a very good portion of where true power lies. But we've got to convince, apparently, something like 148 million people that just participated in an absolute shit show of election fraud on so many different levels, who are now all going to be told, well, Trump didn't have a good defense. He couldn't bring a decent argument. He couldn't bring forth the case. We've got to certify the election results and announce Joe Biden president because the country needs to heal.
Oh my God. The amount of people that are going to use Trump dumb ass legal, like, oh my God, you have so many, like, legitimately documented instances of election fraud. You have a serious problem with the lack of transparency as to how the signatures of the mail-in ballots are being verified, as to the freaking source codes for your voting machines, as to how in the hell we allow the massive conflicts of interest to take place between the people donating to the Biden campaign and the people, and those very same people that are also sitting on the boards of these companies that own the voting machines. And we can't address that because Trump's legal team is so utterly incompetently stupid, full of the most heck.
But like, they're not.
No, they're not. They're not.
They're not.
No, they're not. They're doing exactly as intended.
They're because they know better.
Yeah,
Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, you guys are fuckwatic douche cunts. You know better. You know this isn't a secret Chavez plot. Yet what do you want to do? You want to pull everyone back into the sphere of partisanship so you can leave your Q people on a wild goose chase, and you can leave, you know, your little Jordan charlatans going, oh, there's no evidence. Look at them. They're crazy. And now you can manufacture even more chaos. Like, thanks for that, guys. You guys aren't serious at all. You're a tool, a useless tool, and you know exactly what you're doing, but guess what? You can't stand up to it because you know you're nothing more than a toy. And I hope you're watching this, Donald. I hope this is getting at your fragile little ego so that way you go and man up. You, like, otherwise, go peg yourself. Stick a dildo up your ass.
Damn.
If Trump was serious, if he wasn't reading from a script, if his legal team wasn't reading from a script, we would be hearing over and over and over about why proprietary software is bad. We would be examining not just Dominion, but every single voting machine. We would be banning them outright or calling for them to be banned outright. You don't see Donnie Johns doing that whatsoever. You don't see Donnie Johns going, we're going to do this the right way, legally, or I'm declassifying everything.
Nah,
Everything.
it's ghost commies.
Ghost
Well,
commies.
and it's
Ghost
not
commies.
even just Donald Trump, you guys. Bernie Sanders got cheated twice. He never addressed the election system.
Nobody
He never addressed the
expected
proprietary
Bernie
software.
Sanders to address it.
It's my point. But my
Talk
point
at
is,
once,
they're on.
Xavier.
It's the same script. It's the same team. They're on the same team. They're working toward the same goal. They just want chaos around the elections. They want you guys fighting amongst yourselves, and they want to make sure that the election system never gets it addressed.
And you guys know this because you watched Slow News Day with Whitney Webb a week before the election.
Well,
right?
I know that because I'm a smart human being,
I
and
was
our
asking the
elections have been fucked. I'm so tired of people pretending, like Jordan Chariton and whoever else, pretending like, the election was fine, everything's fine. No, it fucking wasn't. Was the election held in the United States of America? Yes. Then it was fucked. Period. End of story. It shouldn't be controversial to say that. Our elections are all fucked. All of them.
Yeah, and listen,
the one moment of healing that'll come out of this is that everyone, not just progressives, now know that Democrats rig elections. Like, more than just Bernie Sanders supporters now get the fact that the neoliberal class has the power to control the narrative of the world, no matter how much they trust the plan or think that it's different. It's still the same neoconservative, neoliberal alliance versus the entire rest of the free world.
They don't care. They knew that 4 years ago. They do not care.
Yeah,
they don't care.
And listen, St. Bernard, if you're watching this, you can come get this smoke too, okay? Rose Twitter, seriously, because they'll acknowledge that neoliberals cheat, but only because their white savior finally got cheated. But lo and behold, this election, who is getting cheated? Jen Perlman, Tim Canova, Maria Estrada, and Angelica Dueñas. And so many other people that weren't Bernie Sanders got cheated by this election cycle, but the only one we can pay attention to is Bernie. I'm sorry, Ryan Knight. Democrats don't only cheat Bernie. And
oh my God, I can't believe you did that.
Dumbass statement to make.
I forgot all about that, Glory. I did.
Oh my God, you guys. I was just trying to give him a chance because he said he would cover Julian Assange, and I was like, that's great. Good step. Okay, I still don't trust you, but okay, we got something to work with. And then he puts out that fucking tweet, and I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Are you kidding me?
In all caps.
Yes.
Democrats only cheat Bernie.
My God, it's such an infantile understanding of how things work in this country. It really is.
Estrada's been
and I
cheated
get that
twice
he's very
now.
new to his radicalization, but come on, dude. Come on. We're going to need you to do better than that.
Very undiplomatic on this show. I've gone on several cussed word Latin rants.
You are kind of on fire tonight. I have a little bit of a headache, so I'm a little quieter today, but yeah, you're on fire. You're making up for it. Go, girl. Get it. Yeah, but I'm just really tired of people only giving a shit about things that impact their team. And when the other team, when it affects the other team, it's no big deal. And you guys are crybabies and you're conspiracy theorists. And it goes both ways. And it's fucking annoying. Grow the fuck up. Both of your teams are corrupt as shit. And none of them give a shit about you. They're working together behind the scenes, laughing at you the whole time. So stop it. Just stop it. It's so stupid. Both of them cheat. Democrats cheat. Republicans cheat. They cheat in different ways. They cheat in the same ways. But they all cheat. Every single one of them. All of your elections are fucked. None of them are ever legit. And if you're not going to address that, you're never going to get change. Ever. It's never going to happen. If you are going to work within the electoral system, you are going to have to face and deal with the complete corruption of your system. Otherwise, your work is for nothing. It's completely useless. What you are doing is completely useless. You cannot phone bank your way out of a rigged election. It doesn't work. You cannot. You cannot go out and hand out flyers and, you know, talk to family members and fundraise and all of that stuff. You cannot, none of that is going to impact a rigged election. So anything that you do, you might as well, you know, sit at home and, you know, twiddle your thumbs, because that is just about as effective as, you know, trying to work within an electoral system that is completely fucked as ours is. It's not going to work ever.
In lieu of thumb twiddling or trying to participate in an illegitimate and a completely incorporated system, you can also become an activist.
Yes. But I'm just saying, like, the people who say that they're going to work within the system and we're going to reform the party, well, you won't even talk about election integrity. So please explain to me how the fuck you plan to do that, because I'm not buying it. You know, I don't believe in the electoral system. I am completely against electoral politics. I don't think you should vote. I don't think you should participate. I think you should organize outside the system, get yourself in the streets, figure out mutual aid groups, learn how to grow food, learn how to sew, learn how to do all kinds of different things to support your community. But don't participate in elections. That's my personal opinion. But if you are one of those people who claims that they want to work within the system and reform it and do whatever, if you can't even be pissed to, you know, speak about election integrity and the fact that we do have proprietary software that isn't accountable and there is no paper trail and there's no way for you to, you know, really legitimately look at a vote and make sure that it's, you know, a real election, then go fuck yourself. You are not doing anything. You're doing worse than nothing. I mean, it's counterproductive.
Yeah, no, I'm totally for people getting involved in electoral politics if they have a simultaneous dual effort to advocate for election integrity and ensure that there are free and fair elections. Like, if we had like Venezuela's or Bolivia's election system, I'd be like, oh, okay, knock yourself out. If they protested like the people in Venezuela and Bolivia did, I'd be like, oh, knock yourself out. But no, instead they're saying, no, get off the streets. You need to go phone bank for Joe Biden to get Trump out. Oh, like, okay, I'm not going to listen to you.
And then what, though? I mean, and then what? And then let Joe Biden pack his cabinet full of neocons and fucking war criminals and spooks and just...
Well, so the question to ask, I guess, because WikiLeaks revealed that Obama's entire administration was picked by Citigroup. So I guess the question would be, in a potential future WikiLeaks reveal, who do you guys think was pulling the strings of the Biden appointments? Will we see something like the Obama Citigroup email, or do you think it'll be more...
It's very similar people being appointed, so I would say it's Citigroup or it's a financial institution almost for sure, with heavy influence from Israel probably.
Not only that, but the majority of the people that have been tapped so far were the deputies of the people that had those positions in the Obama administration. And as a deputy director, you are an absolute diehard partisan believer in what your boss is putting forth. So the idea that we've got a Brennan loyalist as the director of national intelligence should be sending chills through everyone. John Brennan is a fucking crook.
According to Millie Weaver's documentary that she made, I don't know if, I think it was Shadowgate, and I don't know how factually accurate this is, but John Brennan has a personal private intelligence organization where he sells the information that comes through the NSA pipeline that is supposed to be for government use only stored for 3 days to be analyzed and then disposed of. Well, supposedly he has a personal private intelligence company that permanently holds all of the information that our government collects.
And if you oh, I just lost it. God damn it.
I mean, all you have to do is take one look at the people that are being appointed. I mean, it's
there it is.
they couldn't be more obvious about it. And then, you know, you have people like Marianne Williamson saying that, oh, but look, these are good choices. He's reaching out to the left. Like, you can tell he's really listening to the left. What are you on, sister? Like, there's not a single person who, I'm left, and there's not a single person on those lists that are even remotely close to what I'm looking for. I mean, these are Republicans. They're appointing Republicans. They're appointing some of the worst people in Washington. It's just the other side of the Donald Trump appointees. You know what I mean? It's like these guys are more blatantly rude and obvious and upfront about their assholery, and these guys are more, charismatic and charming and demure and, kind of businesslike, and they say the right words and they're proper and all of those things. So, I mean, it's really, do you just like polite fascism or do you like rude fascism? That's all. That's the choice you've been handed.
Listen, Misty, I just say, I mean, if you're celebrating these cabinet picks, why not just give a middle finger to every black and brown person and every person making under $72 million a year? Because it'll get the point across quicker.
I mean, it's giving the middle finger to literally everybody who isn't rich and powerful. These people don't give a fuck about any of us. They don't care about your freedom of speech. They don't care about your water. They don't care about climate change. They don't care about any of that stuff. They do not care. They're in it for themselves. Always, 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 always. That is it. That's the only thing they think about. Do you really think that Nancy Pelosi goes to a meeting with a donor and really worries about how that's going to impact a middle-class family in Wyoming? No, she doesn't care. She wants to know what her donor wants and how she can make that look presentable enough to get it passed without people making a fuss about it. That's how that works.
The squad is going to write a sternly worded letter to her. And
y'all, okay, here, you want to rant? I'm so fucking sick of people praising the squad for their tweets. Are you kidding me? I have seen so many progressives over the past however long it's been since the election. Oh man, I really like what AOC's been saying lately. She's on fire. No, she's fucking not. She's putting out tweets. You're impressed by tweets. Are you kidding me? That's the height of theater. You're ridiculous. You are a child. She's not doing shit for you. She's tweeting, and you're so super impressed. You want her to run for president in 2024. You're a moron. You are completely what is wrong. That is completely what is wrong. It's a celebrity worship. It's a personality. This one person is going to save me. That woman does not care about you. She is an opportunist. She is a careerist. She is in it for herself, and she puts on a very good cosplay of a progressive. She is very convincing. I will give you credit for that. She is convincing. She's not on your team. She does not give a fuck about you. She's not your friend. Please, I need people to handle that. Come to terms with it. Do not let her Bernie you. That's where that's headed. She's going to Bernie Obama you. She's going to Bernie you. That is what's going to happen.
Harris
they are
is
not in it for you.
Harris is not going to let her run. Are you kidding me?
There's that.
Cory Bush wore a mask that said Breonna Taylor, and everyone lost their shit. It's really? I already have so many okay, I'm going to completely derail the conversation here, but it needs to be fucking said. I really can't stand just how almost memeified and commodified Breonna Taylor's name has been. This is a Black woman that died because of policies that wanted to gentrify her neighborhood, that was unjustly killed by police. And the only response from you fucks was to say her name several times and, scream her name. And
wait a minute, Glory. They had Palooza.
Misty, I am sorry. I need to keep going. And to make fancy infographics about her on Instagram, and to say her name, wake up and say, "Good morning," arrest the judges who arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor, without doing anything about it. You fucks have commodified her name. You have commodified these issues and not done anything about them. You have not done anything to actually stand up against the national security state, which maneuvers to crush Black and brown communities stories, and you expect me to be impressed because you gave money to someone who's probably not even in Breonna Taylor's family? You expect me to think you're so cool, to think you're some kind of ally, all because you put hashtag BLM and say you're an activist and attend one little day protest party with Black Lives Matter? Like, no, go fuck off. Grow some balls, stand against the fucking national security state because it's maneuvering to kill us right now. Okay? I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all good. But I mean, listen, I knew it was bad when they had Brianna Palooza and like Linda Sarsour was going to this. I mean, Brianna Palooza, you gotta be kidding me. Like, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? That was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. I have never seen a victim of police violence or any be so. I mean, you said the word commodified, but I don't like that's not even a strong enough term for it. Like, they have completely co-opted her image and used it as a political football and a tool. And like she's not even like a person anymore. She's this thing that like people hold up to use as a weapon, and it's really gross. I mean, it's really gross. It makes me very uncomfortable the way that putting her on the cover of Vogue magazine and making these like shows, and it's very weird to me how they're using her image. It's gross.
Yeah, it's sickening, and it's something like I don't talk about a lot because I can't. That's how sickening it is to me to see just like victims of police brutality have their, just lives graced and used for profit by people who don't care for them, by people who aren't going to fight to make sure that another person doesn't end up facing the same fate that they do. And it's, again, I apologize for derailing the conversation, but sorry. Yeah.
Should finish up these slides.
It's true.
Oh yeah, we do.
And don't apologize. We're
don't
here
apologize.
to have conversation across political boundaries.
So I'll do 3 and you do 3, Misty?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right.
Yep. You want to go first or?
Sure.
Okay.
Slide 20. One of my motivations for working on these cases was that the U.S. drone campaign appeared to be horribly mismanaged and was resulting in paid informants giving false information about innocent people who were then killed in strikes. For example, when I shared the podium with Imran Khan at Jirga with victims of drone strikes, I said in my public remarks that the room probably contained 1 or 2 people in the pay of the CIA. What I never guessed was that not only was this true, but that the informant would later make a false statement about a teenager who attended the Jirga, such that he and his cousin were killed in a drone strike 3 days later. A teenager and his cousin were murdered from the sky 3 days later. We knew from the official press statement afterwards that the intelligence given to the U.S. involved 4 militants in a car. We knew from his family, just him and his cousin were going to pick up an aunt. There is a somewhat consistent rule that can be seen at work here. It is, of course, much safer for any informant to make a statement about someone who is a nobody than someone who is generally dangerous. Wow. This kind of horrific action was provoking immense anger, causing America's status in Pakistan to plummet, and was making life more dangerous for Americans, not less. Importantly, WikiLeaks cables released in November 2010 had revealed the Pakistani government's support for the drones even when they were making public protests for the sake of domestic appearances. A selection of more than 4,000 cables were also published by Pakistan's leading English language newspaper, Dawn, in May 2011. The cache included the cable quoting former Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani. According to Saba Imtiaz, I'm butchering that one, I apologize, a Pakistani author and journalist, quote, the publication of the leaked cables was extraordinary in that the document showed how closely the United States was involved in Pakistani politics and revealed the specific types of demands and requests made by Pakistani officials and and politicians to U.S. officials. In a single statement delivered on 11 May 2013, Foundation for Fundamental Rights versus Federation of Pakistan and 4 others, Chief Justice Dost Muhammad Khan held inter alia that A, drone strikes carried out by the CIA and U.S. authorities are a blatant violation of basic human rights, including a blatant breach of the absolute right to life, and a war crime. B, drone strikes carried out against individuals not engaged in combat with U.S. authorities or forces amount to breaches of international law and conventions on the subject matter and are thus absolutely illegal and a blatant violation of the sovereignty of the state of Pakistan. C, the civilian casualties and damage to property are an uncondonable crime on the part of the U.S. authorities, including CIA. D, the U.S. government is bound to compensate all the victims and families. I guess I'll just read this next one because it's continuing, and then I'll kick it over to you, Steve.
Okay. Yep.
E, the government of Pakistan shall ensure that in the future such drone strikes are not conducted and carried out, and if proper warnings do not work, shall have the right. Government of Pakistan shall have the right and legal obligations to shut down the drones. F, the government of Pakistan is directed to take the matter seriously before the Security Council of the UNO, and if that does not succeed because of the exercise of veto power by the U.S., then an urgent meeting of the General Assembly be requisitioned. The result of this litigation is that the drone strikes, which were in their hundreds and causing many innocent deaths, stopped very rapidly. There were none reported that I know of in 2019. In my view, as a frequent visitor to Pakistan, this not only put a stop to a massive human rights abuse, but also saved the United States from further damage to an already tarnished reputation.
Yes, hugely important. And, ending innocent deaths anywhere is always a good time for me. I'm always down for that. So it's very similar to how the Pentagon Papers helped stop Vietnam. I mean, when people know what's going on, they're opposed to it and they'll, speak out against it. So it makes this all the more important. Okay, next slide. Legal limits and political blocks. This has importantly been evidenced by WikiLeaks. For example, the following is some of the evidence of political blocking and interference by the U.S. and rendition investigations in Spain and Germany. Cable 07 Berlin 242, issued on 6 February 2006, records inter alia that U.S. Deputy Chief of Mission reiterated the U.S.'s strong concerns about the possible issuance of international arrest warrants in the al-Masri case and pointed out that the U.S.'s intention was not to threaten Germany, but rather to urge that the German government weigh carefully the implications for relations with the U.S. The German National Security Advisor assured the DCM that the Chancellery was well aware of the bilateral political implications of the case. The DCM pointed out that the USG would likewise have a difficult time in managing domestic political implications if international arrest warrants are issued. Then next slide, B, Cable 06 Madrid 1490, issued on 9 June 2006, recording inter alia that regarding the CIA flights issue, Vice President de la Vega said Spain's inclusion in the Council of Europe report had caught the Zapatero, hope I'm saying that right, government totally off guard, and she insisted Spain had nothing to hide on the issue. She said the Spanish government felt comfortable that it could contend with domestic concerns regarding CIA flights through Spain, asking only that the United States government provide Spain any relevant information to avoid any surprises. C, Cable 06 Madrid 3104, issued on 28 December 2006. Records inter alia that the Malakoran Free Association of Attorneys and a group of Mallorcan. Yeah. Lord help me. Professional filed a motion calling upon a national court justice to name 13 presumed United States government officials as suspects in connection with the transit of a CIA flight that stopped in Palma de Mallorca. Lord help me, I can't talk. in January 2004, and that it is possible that this case could eventually result in an official request to the United States government. Noted that the national court prosecutors in this case is well known to the U.S. as Spain's liaison to the embassy, and that the U.S. find him to be an engaging and helpful colleague and anticipate that he will be sensitive to the Spanish government's preference that this case not proceed. The evidence discussed above is only a small amount of the material concerning U.S. war crimes and human rights violations. I speak as an American citizen when I say that it is of vital ongoing significance to the very soul of our nation. We've been hearing that a lot lately. I am currently working on a number of cases where similar issues, we have a long way to go. And yes, we have a long way to go. And if you really are serious about fighting for the soul of this country, I would say that ending war crimes should rank pretty high on the list.
Like, think about like our international friends here. Like, dude walked into Germany and was like, yo man, like, I'm not saying that we're not going to be friends, but like, might have to fuck you up a little bit if you talk about this. And they're like, no, we're not going to talk about it, and just continue on like nothing happened. Like, we literally are just forming an international, or have as a government, the United States has formed an international cartel that is liable for literal war crimes, torture, rendition programs, and that's just what's accepted by the public. That's not like the human trafficking rings or the organ harvesting or any of those terrible things that take place.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, just think of the things we know for sure, and then imagine all of the things that we don't know. And that's terrifying. That's when I get scared.
Real
It's the
quick,
unknown knowns.
Christine Solomonic, thank you for donating to the GoFundMe. We absolutely appreciate it. You guys are fucking awesome. I don't know if I've said that enough during the live stream tonight. I am going to drop the link to the GoFundMe in the chat one more time. Which there are 40 days. 40 days. So
you guys.
we need we would need to raise like what, $70 a day or something like that.
I'm not good at math.
And more than money, we need people there with us. We need people helping us build allies in independent media, in institutions, in different protest groups to get people there or get people out in their community. Because not
and
everyone
if you
can
know
make it to
other
these.
organizers, send them our way. We would love to chat with them for a little bit and see if we can't get some cross-purpose action going on here.
Because there's
And
a
hit up the
fuckload
other
of disenfranchised political organizers right now.
Yes.
Like, there's people that have been working on political campaigns, putting their blood, sweat, and fucking tears into them just to have it openly rigged away on all sides of the political spectrum. So I would like to invite whoever you are as an organizer to please come and join the fight to free Julian, whether it's with us explicitly or just in your own way in time. Just please put those skills and that phenomenal skill set to use in your community for something that we can all benefit from having.
And also contact your favorite content creators and ask them to help promote the actions on January 3rd and 4th, or at least ask them to promote the fact that that's when the judgment will be read, and, ask them to cover it and, ask them to talk about Julian Assange. Still having a lot of trouble getting people to cover it, which is still really bizarre to me, and frustrating. Be nicer than me, probably.
And nicer than me too.
Yeah, I've lost all patience. So if you're better at being patient and nice and kind and sweet and friendly to people that you don't really like, then, jump in, help out. Because I've really lost my ability to do that.
Also,
I didn't
if you'd
have
like,
much of it to begin with.
if you'd like to organize with us, you can always join our Discord, and that's action4assange.com/Discord, to hop in there. So if you're interested in becoming more involved or just joining a community of people that are similar minded to you, that are fighting for the same things, please feel free to hop in and get on board with us.
Definitely.
But are we ready to close? Do we want to?
I think so. I think we're good.
Cool. So I would like to thank, first of all, Glory for joining us. If you could let people know where they can find you, give some wonderful final thoughts
Oh, thanks for having me on as last minute as it was. Like, you know how we do it. We're so scripted. That's how I got on the Castro payroll, and I'm getting my Guevara dollars. So that's how we do it. But otherwise, y'all know I love the chat. Best chat in all of YouTube. Final words. I got out a lot of rants on this stream, and I apologize for derailing it at times. So thank you, and thank you for letting me derail it sometimes. And I mean, yeah, I'll just like, to close out, I'll just say, like, whatever you can do it. Don't be afraid to like be independent with your work, because like that's just the way we have to do it. We don't really have time to find the perfect organization or go and pick out every like perfect organizer we can find. We have to work with what we're given, and that's just what we have to do. And don't be afraid to be like that lone activist, because then it'll eventually turn into a thing where like you have other people involved. And like, literally in the couple months I've been in LA for school, I've seen more people like talking about Julian since I've been at these protests. And like, one of my good press friends too, he even got a shout out from the Council to Protect Journalists. His name is Vishal. Shout out Vishal, fellow First Amendment advocate. So that's something that's heartwarming. And yeah, fuck the CIA. And you can catch me on Slow News Day. Steve and my man Sleepy J, the tech ninja, I am blessed that they let me co-host on the show. So you can catch me there when I'm on there co-hosting. And I'm also on Twitter. If you search Glory Jones, I come up with the hashtag Free Assange next to it. Or if you're in LA, you can find me on the ground.
I put the link in the chat, fam.
Yep, that's what I'll say to that. Hasta siempre. Te amo.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank everyone for watching and joining us for some news updates, as well as the second half of our Clyde Stafford Smith discussion and that witness statement. If you have not seen it, I would like to direct you to whatever YouTube channel you're watching from and go. I think we released it on Saturday or Sunday, maybe. The first half of our Clyde Stafford Smith discussion, it was pre-recorded due to time, and then put up on the internet, I think mostly in full. So
it was
a lot of fun.
I only cut out like the one. We only had one mistake in there. I even left the blooper
Yeah.
stuff at the beginning.
Yeah, it was
true.
fun. So
Great.
you will enjoy that if you have not already seen it, and it's super educational. It gets into just as much of the dirty stuff about the war crimes and the rendition programs as we did now. Our GoFundMe is up. I believe we still actually have to put a post up on our website about it, but you can donate to that. You can also find a bunch of calls to action on our website. Action4Assange.com. You can find us on Twitter at action_4Assange. And yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in.
And you can find Andrew on Twitter. What is it? At Andrew Zigman?
At
right?
Andrew Zigman. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so, jazz hands, my favorite. So yeah, thank you to everybody in the chat, especially the people who donated while we were on air tonight. That's very kind of you. You guys really are the best. And if you can't donate, please don't. Like, don't stretch yourself. Don't stress yourself out over it. But just share the link. That helps too. More eyes on it means more dollars come in. Every little bit helps. So please don't put yourself in a position where you're going to stress yourself out. Especially in these crazy times. But you can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I also have a show called Facts on the Ground with my friend Jesse Zerwell. We have some pretty cool stuff coming up. We're going to have Fee on soon to talk election integrity and get into like the really nitty gritty of that and do kind of a deep dive. So that's going to be fun.
God, Misty and Fee screaming at each other in agreement for like an hour.
I can't imagine a better way.
Do you
to
feel
spend
bad
an
for
afternoon.
Jesse or what? Like, I was like, are you sure about this, dude?
He's going to get like 6 words in, but they'll be like relatively prolific. Yes.
And
be
it'll
like
take
the-
25 minutes.
it'll take 25 minutes, and it'll be like the most profound 6 words of the whole damn thing, probably.
I know.
So,
So good.
yeah, look forward to that. And that's it, I think. Thanks to my co-hosts. And thanks to Glory for jumping in last minute. We appreciate you, girl. And don't you ever apologize for those kick-ass rants. I know I used to do the same thing, and so it's kind of hypocritical of me to tell you not to apologize, but I'm doing it, so stop apologizing. Okay, done now.
Okay.
My name's Steve Poikin, and I host a show called Slow News Day, and I am incredibly grateful to Glory Jones for being on the show tonight and for being my co-host on that there program. We've broken a lot of ground over the last month or so at Slow News Day, and if you aren't watching, you should be. You really should be. I don't think we're doing anything Thursday. I don't think so. I don't know. It's really up in the air. Sunday, Morgan Archikina will be joining us again. It is a wonderful conversation with Morgan every time. Let's see. The following Sunday, Danny Sherson, and then Reverend Annie will be on again. And we're going to do a deep dive into the assassination plot of Malcolm X. That's going to be freaking wild. Mark Lubers will be on the show soon. We've got a lot of good things going on, so make sure you check those out. SlowNewsDayShow.com is the website. It's got our full archive of shows and most of the vigils as well.
Hell yeah.
Will be
Big
more,
up, BJ.
Woo!
there
Technique
will
up.
be more content on there soon. We've been given permission to republish not just Caitlin Johnstone's work, because everybody can do that, but Ray McGovern's as well, and Vanessa Beeley's. Yeah, it'll be a little bit more rounded out. Thank you to Misty, to Andre, to Glory, Jazz Handrew, Sleepy Josh on the ones and twos, and to everyone in the chat, and everyone that there was somebody else who I did not say thank you to. Derek Wright donated to the GoFundMe tonight. Thank you very, very much, Derek. To everyone out there in chat land.
Pat donated to the super chat.
And
So
Kat Terrell, you did. Thank you, Kat. Kat, you're so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Historically awesome. But to everybody in the chat crew, we love you guys. Thanks to Nico House and the MCSC Network for letting us broadcast the vigil on that platform. We hope that the people who are watching it over on Nico's channel are enjoying it. We'll be doing this again on Saturday. And until then, good luck to us all.